All right, then. So now it's time for us to get into, um, a pretty jam-packed episode. Of course, I'm going to talk about, my top 10 WWE games of all time, as well as share, at least give a spotlight on the 25th anniversary of the first Hell in a Cell match of all time, and of course, rest in peace to Brian Pillman. You know what I mean? So of course, I'm going to rank my top 10 WWE video games of all time. And also, just a quick disclaimer, of course, for those that may be watching on YouTube, go to youtube.com/King Von Jr. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go into this. Of course, my top 10 WWE video games of all time. And this list was pretty tough. Just in terms of, just in terms of gameplay, in terms of graphics, in terms of the impact that the game still has even now. You know what I mean? So, also when it comes to the story, when it comes to, just everything that makes a WWE game great. Like I say, um, just classic replay, just classic, like impact replay value and everything like that. So of course, with that being said, at number 10, sorry about that, excuse me, at number 10 on my list is actually WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. And the reason why I have Shut Your Mouth at number 10 on this list is because it was, like I said, it was the first SmackDown game that introduced a more in-depth sort of story mode, and it was the predecessor for what we know as Here Comes the Pain. And also it was a great rejuvenation after of course after SmackDown Know Your Role, which didn't age well, which wasn't that great, in the long run. So THQ certainly needed a shot in the arm, and of course SmackDown Shut Your Mouth was the perfect shot in the arm. You know what I mean? So like I said, like I say, it created the blueprint, the template when it came to graphics, when it came to the story mode, for Here Comes the Pain. There are people they'll argue, make an argument for Shut Your Mouth over Here Comes the Pain. Me, not so much, but but at the same time, it's still in the conversation among the greatest WWE games of all time. At number 9, I have SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. Reason why I have this on the countdown, in large part for me, was because of the road to WrestleMania. And like I say, and just because there's some, like, I think just because the variety of different road to WrestleManias that this game had, what I mean, what I mean. So like I said, I just like the selections better when it came to the road to WrestleMania. So so of course for this one, you had the Edge road to WrestleMania, you had Shawn Michaels, the Triple H, John Cena, Randy Orton, and even Mickie James. And also for me, I'll say, I think a large part the detail that they had when it came to like creating wrestlers, creating championships. The roster in and of itself was absolutely great. You know what I mean? It's like, and not only that, but also like, the different attributes that that each wrestler had. Like when it came to submission specialists, when it came to lock pick, being at least when it came to, like, was it like lock pick, we could get out of like submission move, or like how well you could counter a move, or everything like that. You know what I mean? So and of course this takes place, like I said, this takes place right after WrestleMania 25. So this, like I said, right off the heels of Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. You know what I mean? That, as far as that, you know what I mean. So, and this is around the time the Cena was like in the it was like in the other, like, the world title picture and everything like that. So like I said, that's like I said, that's those are some of the key points behind SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. You know what I mean? And so, and especially I like the way, that like I said, not only that, but also also the way that you could customize gear. I mean, on that game, I had an absolute field day when it came to gear customization, because because I'm one of those people that takes pride in gear. You know what I mean? I think gear, I think a wrestler's gear is imperative. You know what I mean? Like, it speaks volumes. And so like I said, I had a field day when it came to customizing gear, especially for Shawn Michaels, for Edge, Cena, Undertaker. You know what I mean? You name it. You know what I mean? So like I said, that, as far as for me, when it came to Road to WrestleMania, when it came to gear customization, when it came to championships, stuff like that, you know what I mean? And also, like, even when it came to like the universe mode or whatever let me show that they had at that time, in that game. Like I say, I really made sure that I got the most got the most replay value out of it, and I'm certainly satisfied with it. At number 8, WWE 2K19, and the reason why this game makes the list is is because of its career mode. Because of the fact that it doesn't have as many bugs as as, let's say, some of the other WWE 2K games, and you know what I mean, and like I say, and just the way that the gameplay holds up even now. You know what I mean, and especially with let me slow down, especially leading into 2K22. This game was a great way to hold the fans over until 2K22, especially considering how much of a colossal disaster that 2K20 was. You know what I mean? I'll say it like this: at least fans still had a game like 2K19 to bounce, at least at least to hold them over. You know what I mean? So like I said, for that, that's the reason why a game like 2K19 makes my list. And so with slow down. You know what I mean? So if anything, what I'll do as I get closer to number 1, I'll give my honorable mention. And like I said, the honorable mention that I have on this list, you can make a case for making anybody else's list. And so and also a great thing about 2K19 was was the fact that this is like I said, this is not too far off from when AJ Styles was in the main event title picture and everything like that. You know what I mean? So so of course, it's, like I said, so as far as that, 2K19, like I say, the thing about 2K19 even to this day still holds up. Number 7 may be a bit of a stretch, maybe recency bias or whatever the case is, but number 7 on my list is the recent WWE 2K22, and the reason why 2K22 makes the list is because of like I said, just because of some like I said, because it checks off so many different boxes when it comes to my criteria. That, and also with also with it with the 2K showcase. You know what I mean? And in this case, it was the Rey Mysterio showcase. Like I said, not only that, but also how fun universe mode has been. With not only that, but also with my GM, and all as far as that, like I said, as far as the roster, I enjoy it. I don't complain at all. Especially when I know that I can make edits on the roster. You know what I mean? And I like how updated the roster is. The fact that Roman Reigns, is absolutely like I said, because of how great Roman Reigns is in the game, because of how great Brock Lesnar and some of the other characters in this game are, and how they're constantly releasing, like I guess this might be a drawback, but but also, especially when you look at these brand new like season passes, constantly releasing new content. You know what I mean? So so as far as that, I like I said, even right now, I absolutely enjoy it. You know what I mean? And also another thing that I've been having fun with is the community creations. Of course, especially when you can download like different creative wrestlers, like Kurt Angle. You could, like I said, you could even download it. You could, like I said, whether it's Kurt Angle, Sting, Bryan Danielson, Road Warriors, so many other people that that you could download. But at the same time, of course, you could do the same thing on any other WWE 2K game. But for me, I would say the biggest draws for this game were with the of course with the other 2K showcase, and and that, and also like also with with like the universe mode. So those modes, as well as like I said, as well as to me like the overall gameplay, the graphics, like I said, those type of things are what really caught my attention. And also like also for me, like and the thing about it is that there's certain wrestlers that they're absolutely my favorites to use on this game. Like I said, as I mentioned before, whether it was Roman, The Rock, Lesnar. I love using Shawn Michaels. Eddie Guerrero, AJ Styles. Like like at least those are my my core go-to wrestlers to use in this game. Austin, of course. So so as far as that, I have no complaints. Now, when it comes to the women, the main women that I use in this game are Chyna, Bianca, Charlotte, Sasha. So as far as that's concerned. But overall, like I said, like I said, this game to me has made a case to be in that conversation among the top 10 of all time. Even if it's a number 7, at least it cracks the top 10 for me. At number 6 on this list, I have SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. The reason why I have this on this list is because this was the game that introduced GM mode. And of course with GM mode, you could decide which brand you want to control. You could decide, like I said, you can make decisions when it, like I said, when it comes to champions, when it comes to rivalries, when it comes to storylines, matches, you name it. You know what I mean? So, and of course, not only that, but the graphics are great, the gameplay is great. You know what I mean? And also like and another thing about SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, there was a way that you could even that you could even recreate the matches. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. There was like I said, there was a way in the game. There was like a way in the game where you could like I said, we could replay the matches in the game. So for example, if it's say Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle from from WrestleMania 21, you could recreate that. Or Shawn Michaels versus HH from SummerSlam, you could recreate that. You know what I mean? So as far as that, and also this was the first game where you had John Cena and Batista as world champions. This is the first game we had them as legit main eventers. Because right before then, in the original SmackDown vs. Raw, Cena was, like I said, at that time, Cena was still in the U.S. title picture, and Randy Orton just came off being the other world heavyweight champion at the time. But in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, like I said, this is right off the heels of both Cena and Batista winning at WrestleMania. So obviously their rating reflects that. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, like I said, as far as that, like I said, like I said, as far as the game, it was, like I said, it was certainly one of the better games in SmackDown vs. Raw history. And SmackDown vs. Raw, as we all know, like I said, has created its own lineage in and of itself. And for me, like I said, and for me, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 makes number 6 on my countdown. And so now we are in the top 5 of this list, and in number 5 actually have WWE 13. The reason why I have WWE 13 on this list is because of the Attitude Era mode, and if anything, that was the biggest draw for me when it came to getting the game. The fact that you could recreate the Attitude Era from beginning to end, you know what I mean, and clearly my absolute favorite in that game was Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know what I mean, and so like I said, and for me, I'm big on unlockables, so that was one of the games I had no problem grinding through. In order, like I said, if anything, pause, of course, but like I said, if anything, that was a game that let me start over. That was a game that had that was a game that had no problem going through. As far as like from start to finish, going through the grind of of course, like the Attitude Era story mode, just to unlock those characters, whether it was Austin, Rock, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Undertaker. And as soon as I finished, I had no, like I said, I enjoyed using each and every one of them in the game. You know what I mean? So and the thing is that was certainly, like I said, it was a game that I certainly enjoyed. And I made sure to like I said, I made sure to get the most juice out of that game as I possibly could, just like with a lot of the other games on this list. And if like I said, if anything, I'll say like this: if there was any game that wanted to be like sort of like recreated and you know what I mean, sort of like modernized or whatever, it like I said, WWE 13 is definitely on that list. Like I said, from my top 5, I actually have WWE 13 on there, and like I said, the biggest draw for me, I'll say like this: the mode that the thing that really carried this game was the Attitude Era mode. To me, that was the biggest selling point of the whole entire game. So at number 4 on this list, I actually have WWE 2K14, and much like what I said just now with WWE 13, the biggest draw for me was story mode. And if anything, I'm not here to speak for any other gamers, but for those of us who are gamers, the biggest draw for a lot of us, other than the gameplay and graphics, is the story. Because you want to have a reason to play. You want to have some type of purpose to play for. You know what I mean? And this story mode is where you can unlock different things. You know what I mean? Like level up and all. Whatever the case may be, in any type of game. And so in this case for WWE 2K14, and like I said, let me slow down. What was so important about this game was this was the very first WWE 2K game. So when it was time to go, when it was time, like I said, when it was time to go into 2K Sports, this was the very first game in the official WWE 2K era. So it was, like I said, the thing is, this game like I said, this game has been made by the same developers of NBA 2K. And so the biggest draw for me for WWE 2K14 was the Road to WrestleMania mode. And I like how it takes you through time. It takes you through this, this journey of WrestleMania history. It's, like I said, it's a great way to take to take a journey through time, to take a journey through history, from the first WrestleMania all the way down to it stops like WrestleMania 29. And and like I said, this game by a few months predates WrestleMania 30, even though they actually have the WrestleMania 30 stage in the game in and of itself. But like I said, like I said, just to explore the history of WrestleMania. And a great thing about this game is I like how they have the classic filter. so that when you're playing in like the older WrestleManias, it has this filter to make, like I said, to make the graphics look older, or or at least to make the match look older. Excuse me. So I like how in the Road to WrestleMania story mode, whenever you're going through, like, like I said, whenever you're going back to like an older match, as like, the thing is that the match has a certain filter to it, to, like I said, to really recreate that nostalgia of, like I said, of that WrestleMania at the time. So for example, let's say you're doing Savage versus Steamboat. The game has this filter to make it look like it was in the 80s, to make it look as close to 1987 as you possibly can. And just like with WWE 13, I like how you have the how you have the objectives for each match, and with each objective, there's a cut scene to the match, and I'm one of those gamers who thrives off of completion, who thrives off of unlocking things. So I'll make sure I go at length through each objective as I possibly can to unlock the next thing. Not only to win, but but not only to win, but to unlock the reward behind it as well. So chapter 1, of course, is the golden era. Where HH, of course, is the face of that era or whatever. Won't even mention his name. Chapter 2 is the new generation era, Bret Hart era. He's WWF champion. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels era, whatever. And then chapter 3, of course, the Attitude era, Austin 3:16, as well as The Rock. Right after that, chapter 4 is ruthless aggression. The rise of Cena and Orton. So on and so forth. And of course, that's chapter 4. So then chapter 5 is like universe mode. And universe mode is like, from like WrestleMania 24, 25 on down. And so it's great how they recapture so many iconic match moments. Like I said, how they recreate iconic matches and the moments within those matches, within the confines of the game. So that's always been fascinating. And another thing, if anything, another big draw for me in that game was breaking the Undertaker streak. So for me, I actually used Diesel to break the streak. Side note, what I mean? Like I said, as far as that, and another thing I like about the game was the accelerator, and the accelerator is so you could say somewhat sort of like a simulator, where you can unlock everything faster, and it's also a way. Actually, the thing is that not only, like I said, with the accelerator, not only do you unlock things faster, but you can also change ratings. With the accelerator, you can make ratings adjustments. So, for example, if Shawn Michaels from the 2000s has a higher rating than Shawn Michaels from the 90s, I can make changes to that. Things like that. What I mean? And so 2K14 was absolutely remarkable, was absolutely incredible. And like, if anything, for me, the like I said, my favorite part of that, like I said, was the 30 years of WrestleMania mode. What I mean? And so with that, we slam. So with that, I unlocked like so many trophies. I milked that game for what it was worth. What I mean? So and the thing is, I absolutely enjoyed it. I never like I said, I never regret it at all. And of course, for SmackDown, at number 3, I have SmackDown versus Raw 2007, and in my estimation, it built even further on what SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 did when it came to story mode, when it came to GM mode and things like that. What I mean? So, like I said, this was this at a time where John Cena was at the height of his game as WWE champion. This was during the time that he had the longest reign of his career, and his rating reflects that. You know what I mean? Like I said, and if anything, Cena was Cena was one of my favorites in the game, along with Edge, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. Now, as far as like the unlockable legends, I was a huge Bret Hart guy on there, much like how I was in 2006 as well as in 2K14, things like that. So me. So, me. So like I said, I'll say it like this. SmackDown vs. Raw, like I said, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. For me, was just a further building block on what SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 was. And so, with that being said, that's my number 3 on this list. Number 2 is a Nintendo 64 classic that still stands the test of time to this day. You can even make an argument of this possibly being the GOAT of WWE games, and that is none other than No Mercy. And the reason why No Mercy is ranked so high is because of the nostalgia value, because of the fact that it was that this took place at like the height of the Attitude Era. This took place when The Rock was at the top of his game. Hence, that's why he's on the cover of the game, as well as all like I said, as well as Austin. This was when the Undertaker returned as the biker. This was actually the thing is Chris Jericho was already in WrestleMania 2000, but he was even better in this game. And like I say, and of course, another great thing about this, like I said, a huge thing about this game was championship mode, and this was also the very first game that had ladder matches. And like I said, and the roster was a Hall of Fame roster, a who's who of the absolute best at the time. Like I said, from from Rock, Austin, Triple H, Taker. You could even unlock Cactus Jack on this game, which I did, of course. Shawn Michaels was an unlockable as well. They even had Andre the Giant in here as well. They also had, they also had Jericho. They had Eddie Guerrero. He who shall not be named. You know what I mean. Pretty much like just the Radicals themselves, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys. You know what I mean. So So like the who's who, the best of the best of the WWF at that time. Like I said, of the WWF roster between like 99 and 2000. This was peak 2000s WWF. You know what I mean? Kurt Angle. This is actually Kurt Angle's very first game. Right? Yes, like I said, actually, I think SmackDown 2 was his first game. It was between that one and No Mercy. You know what I mean? So so of course, I enjoyed Kurt Angle's presence in this game. You know what I mean? So so as far as that, no, like I say, like I said, so as far as that, as far as the nostalgia value, the replay value, just how classic this game is, and how much it still stands the test of time, how much of a cultural impact that this game still has. No Mercy, with that being said, is number 2 on my list. Honorable mention I have to give the Day of Reckoning games. They were absolutely incredible on the GameCube, but it's like I said, like when it comes to Day of Reckoning 1, Day of Reckoning 2, as well as 2K17. So those are my top 3 honorable mentions. Anybody can make a case, for those games being in their top 10, but it was just so hard for me, narrowing things down to just 10. So like I said, and of course with number 1, with that being said, I mean, self-explanatory. SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. I absolutely love the game from start to finish, from top to bottom, from beginning to end. The roster was insane. The graphics for that time were insane. And for me, I would even say the graphics can still hold up even now. The gameplay itself can still hold up even now. Brock Lesnar was on scary hours in that game. I absolutely loved using Brock Lesnar, and he was the cover star on that game for a reason, because if you know how to use him, watch out. You know what I mean? The F5 was brutal. It was lethal. I loved his entrance. I loved the fact that he was the WWE champion in that game. He was absolutely fun to play with. Like I said, Paul, like I said, if anything, like I said, he was a fun character to use in that game. Pause, of course. Like I said, Brock Lesnar, like I said, he was absolutely fun to use in that game. The old school, excuse me, the old school Undertaker was absolutely incredible, and in fact, in this game they had the WWE shop. In the WWE shop, you could, like I said, in the WWE shop, you could unlock legends, whether it was the old school Undertaker, the $1 Million Man Teddy DiBiase, Sergeant Slaughter, Road Warriors, at least just to name a few, for the most part. But like I said, I absolutely enjoyed using the classic Undertaker. And of course, this is Undertaker from the mid 90s, like 95, 96, with the purple gloves and purple tie. And I like how for the legends they actually had that I like how for the legends that like for the entrance that they had that little they for the legends they had that mini cart, that mini ring that they would come out with, just like from like WrestleMania 3, how the wrestlers would come out with those how those wrestlers will come out with come out in those small rings on their way to the ring itself. So for that, I like how the legends that actually come out and actually come out in those mini rings. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, not to like I said, not to go into too much detail about that. But like I said, Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels was absolutely incredible use. Kurt Angle, absolutely, you know what I mean? So like those were like my top 4 characters. Of course, to use in that game. And of course, the season mode was, like I said, was absolutely incredible. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm still down. Season mode was great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I said, like if anything, the main things for that game were the graphics, the gameplay, the season mode. That like I said, that game was absolutely revolutionary, and of course it opened up the door for the future SmackDown vs. Raw franchise, and like I said, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And like I said, what else can I say? Brock Lesnar, his absolute dominance, and of course this game comes off the heels of WrestleMania 19, in my estimation, one of the top 2 WrestleManias of all time. And so anytime I want, you could recreate Lesnar versus Angle, Shawn Michaels versus Jericho, Rock versus Austin, wherever you want. You know what I mean? So, if anything, that game had everything that you were looking for. And not only that, but you could, and not only that, but in that game, you could wrestle anywhere, not just in the ring, but you can even wrestle all the way in Times Square. And, I mean, like anywhere you want. Like I said, like I said, not only in the ring, Times Square, backstage, in the boiler room or parking lot, whatever it is. And so, with that being said, my top 10 WWE video games of all time. Number 10, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Number 9, SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. Number 8, 2K19. Number 7, 2K22. Number 6, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. Number 5, WWE 13. Number 4, WWE 2K14. Number 3, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Number 2, WWF No Mercy. And number 1, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. And once again, as of this recording, this is the 25th anniversary of the very first Hell in a Cell match with, of course, with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker from WWF In Your House, Bad Blood 1997. So they're still doing In Your House at that time, at least up until like Survivor Series or whatever. And Shawn Michaels won this match to become the number 1 contender for the WWF Championship, which he will win the next month, Survivor Series, the Montreal Screwjob. And this is a time where Shawn Michaels was drawn like so many different enemies. And the thing is, on one end he already had Bret Hart, and then on the other hand, because of SummerSlam, he created a whole new enemy in the Undertaker. And this at the time where DX had already this at the time this at the time where DX was originally a trio with Rick Rude as their manager, of course. Like I said, like I said, this was at the time we had the original DX lineup with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and China, and Shawn was the European champion at the time. And like I said, this match was something completely out of nowhere. It was it took the concept of the steel cage match to a whole nother level, because with this match, you had a roof unlike the cage, and the cell covered the entire ring, and so this was this is certainly something that was very much ahead of its time, and you couldn't find any other guys on the roster to kick off this match than Shawn versus Undertaker. And as JR said on the Heartbreak and Triumph documentary, the whole moniker of Showstopper, and things like that. That the thing is that wasn't just something to put on a cool T-shirt. Shawn Michaels was the real deal, and he went toe to toe with an absolute monster, the Undertaker, at the peak of his game. Both of them at the peak of their game, and if anything, when it comes to Undertaker's greatest dance partners, you can make a strong case for Shawn Michaels. And also in this match was the debut of Kane, and so this match is still classic because of those reasons, because of how much of a classic quality match it was, overall, as well as a surprise, as well as a surprise factor with the debut of Kane. And so, and the thing is, this was the main event, and this match carried, sorry, this match carried, this match absolutely carried the event in and of itself, because undercard, nobody really cared about that, but like I said, it was all about, this match was the biggest draw of them all. However, hours before that, unfortunately, was the passing of Brian Pillman. So October 5th is very synonymous for two different reasons. The loss of the late great Brian Pillman, as well as as well as the anniversary of a certified classic match that you could argue and say is probably still the greatest Hell in a Cell match even now, even to this day. It was the building block, it was the blueprint for everything else we will see later on. Whether it was the Elimination Chamber matches, you name it, it all started with this match, and there was nobody better to kick this off than I said, two absolute warriors, gladiators, the locker room kings, and Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker. So with that being said, if anything, those I said those are my top 10 video WWE video games of all time. RIP to Brian Pillman, and happy 25th anniversary to Bad Blood 1997.